That's my chair. Get off. My mom knew that I hated dolls. I was terrified of them from a long time, but she just assumed that I was creeped out by how human like they are. She never really questioned it. Plus, I was the type of kid who would rather avoid something I'm scared of, was rarely triggered and jaded about scary things, and would get violent when startled. I had been like this as a child and still am. It was last year when my friends and I were talking over at Discord when my mom heard me loudly declare how much I hated dolls and how absolutely terrified I was of them. She was shocked to hear this, and with good reason. I have rarely openly admitted to being afraid of something, let alone with such strong language. Before we went to bed, my mom sat me down and asked me why I was terrified of them. I was confused at first, but then realized I haven't told her. For context, our old house had two steps leading up to a small platform. You can go 2 steps down straight and go to the bathroom, or take a right and go 11 steps up where there's a small landing. To the right of that would lead to two storage rooms, both of which became my room and my foster sister's room. To the left was the master bedroom, which had its own bathroom and led to the terrace. I used to sleep in the master bedroom with my mom when I was little. The light switch was just beside the door, but back then I was so small I had to grab a chair from beside the dresser. Or I had to get in the dark room and jump so my 3 foot something height would reach the switch. I was around 6 to 8 at the time, and I went inside the house to take a bath. I had been playing with my neighbors all afternoon, and after a quick drink of water and some biscuits, I made my way up the stairs. My mom was at work, and my babysitter was out. I distinctly recall being the only one in the house. Making my way up the stairs, I remember being a bit nervous, but mostly tired. When I reached the landing, there was a doll in the stroller. It was my doll, the only one my mom bought me. I found that doll creepy for many reasons. First, it was almost as big as me, had curly brown locks that could never be brushed, and it came with a stroller that I used to be able to sit in. Second, it was the kind of doll that opens its eyes when you carry it. Third, it had glowing eyes. I didn't know what the manufacturer thought, but the doll had luminous green eyes that glowed in the dark. I've had literal encounters bumping into that thing in the dark, it falling over, and the eyes rolling up and glowing from the floor. My mom liked it though. I didn't. But back to the doll. It was just there, hands at its sides, eyes closed, sitting in its stroller in front of the storage. I stared at it for a few seconds, my child brain hoping it wouldn't open its eyes before I realized it won't anyway. No one's moving it, and even if the stroller moved, it's not like the landing is elevated enough to trigger the opening. I turned to the left into the master's bedroom. It was around 6-7 p.m. at the time, so it was pretty dark. I recall having an eerie feeling scratching at the back of my neck, but shrugged it off. I tried to smack at the light switch from the door, but as I mentioned before, I was a tiny midget and couldn't really hit the lights. When I finally hit it, I was surprised when the lights didn't come on. I thought maybe I accidentally hit it twice, so I stepped into the room, the door closing behind me. As soon as everything went dark, the eerie feeling grew stronger. Even though it was dark, I could make out silhouettes. There was something behind me, turning around. I looked up at the large closet. Above it was a blonde doll. I watched in the dark as the doll's hand moved from its sides to its front. By now I was scared and hoping that I was just seeing things. but then it opened its eyes. Bright, bright blue looked straight down at me, and I saw it coming closer and closer and closer. When I realized what was going on, I was on the floor, my head knocking against the hardwood as I stared up at the doll's glowing blue eyes. I could never forget that shade of eerie blue. Its plastic hands were on my neck, pushing down, getting tighter and heavier as it got closer and closer to my face. I remember sobbing and trying to shove it away. I know I should be able to. Despite being almost my size, these dolls were light, with a hollow interior so kids can carry them around. But this one, even though I can't feel its weight on my body, this one's pushing down on my neck. After a few minutes of struggling, I managed to shove it off. I bolted out of the master bedroom and stopped at the landing. The brown-haired doll was there, and I could hear the stroller wheels creaking as it slowly approached me. Its arms, previously at its side, slowly came up to reach for me. Its green eyes rolled up slowly, and I swear those eyes focused on me. It was coming towards me, and I dove down the stairs before it could block my exit. I don't clearly remember what happened to her, except that I was crying and had gone over to a neighbor's house. They didn't believe me as far as I know, but I thankfully have little memories of being teased about it. I finished my story, little unnerved by the memory. My mom was surprisingly quiet, and she looked confused. I know she had been attentive the entire duration of the story, nodding along and all that, but she did seem very confused. I gave her a little while to think. Before I asked her why she was confused, she gave me a look. I remember the brown-haired doll. I bought that for you. I know. You didn't like it and you never played with it. Yeah. At this point, I wasn't sure what she was getting at. For a brief moment, I thought this was gonna be another one of her "why aren't you like girls your age" spiel, but to my surprise, she just gave me a worried look. I never bought you a blonde doll.